I want to thank you for opening this video and the chance to bring to you some things to think about when we think of the concept of belief. We're often told from pulpits that we have the will to believe. I was riding along one night with a pastor. He said to me, "Paul, if you don't believe, you have an attitudinal problem, because you have the will to believe." I thought about that. I thought about the word will. And to me, will implied a power. I thought our power was with him. So I went home and I thought about this, and I thought about opening the door by my will, asking the door to open by my will. Couldn't do it. But what did I have? I could want the door to open, and I could ask the door to open. And in short, I'll say to you that this is the root of belief. To have the want and to ask. I'd like to turn to a minute for a piece of scripture, and I don't know all my scriptures by roots and numbers, so I bring myself a few notes here. But in Mark 9:24, there's an instance where a man has a sick boy, maybe he had epilepsy. The disciples were around in the area. They're not healing the boy. They're trying, but they're not. And Jesus comes along. And they introduce him to Jesus. They introduce the man to Jesus. And Jesus looks at the man looks at Jesus, and the man says, "Jesus, my son, he's sick, he's ill. Heal him if you can." I love Jesus' answer, "If I can." If I can. So Jesus heals the man's son in Mark 9:24. And pay attention now to what the man says, because it's so easy just to read right over quickly. Jesus heals the boy, and the man looks up and says, I believe. Please help my unbelief." So all of a sudden, if we look at this piece of scripture, we begin to understand that belief is neither a yes or no situation. It's a growth. And the growth is a continuum. And in the continuum, you can measure. You can measure up and up and up and up and up into the heavens, into the sky. But there's no end to the measurement, because it's a continuum. And in a continuum, there is no percent. So when people say they believe, ask a person if they believe 100%, they say, "Oh yes, I believe 100%. And if they do, then they have no more growth to be had. That's a sad situation of not understanding the concept of belief. Now Thomas, they call it doubter, because we all have doubts. We're human, we have doubts. So yes, Thomas had some doubts. But I feel it's a great misfortune. From the pulpits especially, they refer to him as the doubter, in the sense that he didn't believe when he had his own will to believe. Yet the scripture says, and this is what Thomas knew, without me you can do nothing. Ask, and you shall receive, and I will reveal myself to you. For we get the glory, and we will come to him. This is what Thomas should be a light to us about. We can have the want to believe. We can have the will to ask for that help. And if you put people into three groups, we would have those who believe. They simply grow up with it from the church or from their family. They just grew up with it. And you have those like I was myself for a long time. Either believing or disbelieving. Just floating in there in the middle. And we have a third group that they just don't want it. The message that I want to bring to you on this video is for the group too. It's to the ones who just float. Now, if we have just said that without me you can do nothing, why then would some people just have belief without needing to ask? That's our group one. It's given to them as a gift, and it must be a gift, because Jesus said, without me you can do nothing. So why is it given to them as a gift? So that they can go out and tell others about Him. And then depending what we tell those others is whether or not they are going to have the want to know or the want to believe. We tell them about God with a big hammer. I don't think they want to hear much more. We tell them what God has done for us, or what Jesus did at the cross and walked the deserts for us. Now they have a motive. If they would like to reply to that or respond to it, they have a motive to know. Now they can ask. But the whole key to belief is the want to believe. And you do have a will for that, to want to believe, and then to ask for the help. And we can use the same thing in Lord, I love you. Help me to love you more. There's a continuum there too. Or can we sit back and say, well, I love the Lord with all my heart? Well, is our little heart large enough to give enough love to Him in all we want? Are we satisfied with that amount? Why don't we do like Mark 9:24 does with belief? A growth, a continuum. Lord, help me to love you more. That's the essence of this video. But I would like to read you something from Billy Graham. I have it here in front of me so that I can quote it. And I'm not a fan of Billy Graham's. I've been to a few of his rallies, as you call them, I might call them. And they do give him credit for a lot of work he's done. But Billy Graham himself wrote this. It's from one of his own pamphlets. Here. God gave us the capacity to believe and trust. Therefore, within every conversion, there is the working of the divine and the human. But their relation to each other remains a mystery. Well, my friends, I've tried to give you the answer to that mystery. And the answer to the mystery is that you do not have the will to believe on your own. Unless we contradict the scripture, which says, without me you can do nothing. But we do have the will to ask for the help to do that. Lord, I have heard about you. I've heard you went to the cross for us. I've heard you walked the deserts for us. I've heard you went through hard times for us. If that were true, I would want to respond to you. But I need to know if it were true. And I don't have the will on my own to do that. Without me, you can do nothing. Ask and you shall receive. So the key here is the want to believe. I would call this a belief problem with a want call. That's exactly what it is. It's a belief problem with a want call. And from the want is the ask and you shall receive. And I will reveal myself to you. Rather than telling people that on their own, they have the will to believe. On their own, they don't need to ask. That's not right. That's not right coming from the pulpits. And putting it into people's minds that on their own they can believe. Now, those who have grown with it, we have to consider it as a gift. So that they can go out and tell others who are in the number 2 group, as I would put it, in the middle. Either believing or misbelieving, don't know which way to turn. The key to them is to ask. First to hear from those who have been given it as a gift so that the others can hear. And then the others, depending on what they hear and the motivation from their heart, can ask to believe. That's pretty much, we'd wrap it up without going on all night about it. But I would say, please, don't be telling people that they have their will on their own. When the scripture says, without me, you do nothing. And this is what Thomas knew. Thomas should be a light to us on this very subject. He knew that through man you could only hear. He went to ask. And Jesus didn't read him the riot act. And then Thomas knew. Thank you for your time here. And I hope it brought you something to think about. And thank you.